Autumn had come to the island of Sodor. The fields were changing from yellow stubble to brown earth, and a tractor was hard at work as Thomas puffed along. Later, Thomas saw the tractor close by. "Hello," said the tractor. "I'm Terrence. I'm plowing." "I'm Thomas. I'm pulling a train. What ugly wheels you've got." "They're not ugly. They're caterpillars," said Terrence. "I can go anywhere. I don't need rails." "I don't want to go anywhere," said Thomas. "I like my rails, thank you." Winter came with dark clouds full of snow. "I don't like it," said Thomas's driver. "A heavy fall is coming. I hope it doesn't stop us." "Poof," said Thomas. "Soft stuff, nothing to it." And he puffed on, feeling cold but confident. They finished their journey safely, but by now the country was covered. "You'll need your snowplow for the next journey, Thomas," said his driver. "Poof! Snow is silly, soft stuff. It won't stop me." The snowplow was heavy and uncomfortable and made Thomas cross. He shook it and he banged it, and when they got back, it was so damaged that the driver had to take it off. "You're a very naughty engine," he said to Thomas. Next morning, Thomas's driver and fireman came early and worked hard to mend the snowplow, but they couldn't make it fit. Thomas was pleased. "I shan't have to wear it. I shan't have to wear it," he puffed to Annie and Clarabelle. But they were rather worried. "I hope it's all right. I hope it's all right," they whispered to each other. The driver was worried, too. "It's not bad here," he said to the fireman, "but it's sure to be deep in the valley." "Silly soft stuff," puffed Thomas. "I didn't need that stupid old thing yesterday, and I shan't today. Snow can't stop me." He rushed into a tunnel thinking how clever he was, but there was trouble ahead. "Cinders and ashes," said Thomas. "I'm stuck." And he was. "Back, Thomas, back," said his driver. Thomas tried, but his wheels spun and he couldn't move. The conductor went back for help, while everyone else tried to dig the snow away. But as fast as they dug, more snow slipped down until Thomas was nearly buried. "Oh, my wheels and coupling rods! I shall have to stop here till I'm frozen. What a silly engine I am!" And Thomas began to cry. At last, a bus came to rescue the passengers. And then, who should come to Thomas's rescue but Terrence? Snow never worries him. He pulled the empty coaches away, then came back for Thomas. Thomas's wheels were clear, but still spun when he tried to move. Terrence tugged and slipped and tugged, and at last dragged Thomas clear of the snow, ready for the journey home. "Oh, thank you, Terrence. Your caterpillars are splendid," said Thomas. "I hope you'll be sensible now, Thomas," said his driver. "I'll try," said Thomas, and he puffed slowly away. James and the Red Balloon. It is summer holiday time on the island of Sodor. Vacationers come from far and wide to enjoy the beauty of the island. It is the busiest time of the year for Sir Topham Hatt's engines. Thomas was excited. Sir Topham Hatt had sent him to pick up a special to deliver to Dryor Airfield. "Hey, what have you got there?" tooted Percy. "A balloon," replied Thomas. "A party balloon?" asked Percy excitedly. "No," said Thomas, "this is a very special balloon," and he chuffed away. Soon, Thomas arrived at the airfield, and hot air was puffed into the balloon. And then James arrived. "What is that?" he huffed. "A hot air balloon," said Thomas. "It will take vacationers on rides around the island." "Taking vacationers on rides around the island is our job," wheezed James jealously. Then, as if by magic, the hot air balloon rose silently up into the sky. "What if the hot air balloon takes our passengers away?" chuffed James. "What will happen to us then?" This made Thomas worry. Suddenly, he wasn't so excited about the balloon. The balloon could be seen by everyone on the island of Sodor. Duck gazed at it for so long, he ran into the back of Stepney. Oh, it's a floating basket with people in it," said Donald. "Whatever will they dream up next?" said Douglas. James and Thomas were waiting at the level crossing. They were still worried about the hot air balloon. "If it takes our passengers away," chuffed Thomas, "there'll be no use for us engines." "Passengers should travel on trains," huffed James, "not in silly balloons." Then something big and round and red drifted straight towards them. "We're out of hot air!" shouted a voice. "Ah!" cried James. "What's happening?" Crash, bang, wallop went the balloon and landed right on top of James. He was so scared he let out a huge burst of steam, which blew the balloon up again. The balloon rose into the air once more. "Well done, James," called his driver. "Your hot air did the trick." "Oh, no, James," cried Thomas. "You saved the hot air balloon." "I didn't mean to," groaned James. "Now it's sure to take our passengers." Wherever James went, he could see the balloon carrying vacationers across the island. He felt he should be taking those passengers. Rails are better than hot air any day. James arrived back at the station. There were lots of people on the platform. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting too. "Well done, James," he said. "But now the passengers will ride in the hot air balloon." Sir Topham Hatt laughed. "You're right, James," he said, "but they will need a ride home in a train." James was delighted. Sir Topham Hatt was right. The engines were busier than ever, taking vacationers to and from the airfield. Whenever James sees the red balloon, he whistles and toots. And sometimes when he's asleep at night, James dreams he can fly too, just like the red balloon. Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years and knows it very well. "You know just where to stop, Thomas," laughed his driver. "You could almost manage it without me." Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realize his driver was joking. Later, he boasted to the others, Driver says I don't need him now. Don't be so daft, snorted Percy. I'd never go without my driver, said Toby earnestly. I'd be frightened. Puh, boasted Thomas. I'm not scared. You'd never dare. I would then. You'll see. The next morning, the firelighter came. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Thomas suddenly remembered. Silly stick in the muds, he chuckled. I'll show them. Driver said I could manage without him. I'll just go out and then I'll stop and whoosh! That'll make them jump. Thomas thought he was being clever, but really he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He soon found his mistake. He tried to whoosh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. There was the station master's house. The station master was about to have breakfast. Horrors, cried Thomas, and shut his eyes. The house rocked, broken glass tinkled, plaster was everywhere. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered into the room through its leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master was furious. His wife picked up her plate. You miserable engine, she scolded. Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more. She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. Workmen propped up the house with strong poles and laid rails through the garden. Then, the Scottish twin engines Donald and Douglas arrived. Dinna fash yourself, Thomas. We'll soon have you back on the rails. They laughed. Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to haul Thomas back to safety. Bits of fencing, the bush, and a broken window frame festooned his front, which was badly twisted. The twins laughed and left him. Thomas was in disgrace. There was worse to come. You were in a lot of trouble, Thomas. I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Thomas's voice was muffled behind his bush. You must go to the works and have your front mended. It will be a long job. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, a diesel rail car will do your work. A diesel, sir? Thomas spluttered. Yes, Thomas. Diesels always stay in their sheds till they are wanted. Diesels never gallivant off to breakfast in station masters' houses.